Heaven's California.
Yo guys, what is going on? Welcome back to another video here on my channel today. And today we're going to be looking at Manchester United versus Tottenham Hotspur game from last night. But before we do anything, I would just like to quickly have a talk about obviously the tragedy that happened in America a couple of days ago at a gaming tournament. You know, you wouldn't have expected to go to a gaming tournament like that, and you know, the last thing on the back of your mind is I could get shot today. And you know, a lot of people sit there and automatically blame the American gun policy and stuff, but you know, people get shot in every country, and it takes a lot to have that mental capacity to be able to shoot or stab someone. That, I would say, is more important to look at than, you know, the actual buying of purchasing and the laws of gun laws in the United States of America. More importantly, you know, maybe the fact isn't just that there's a gun problem, there's also not enough being done about mental health in that country, because I can sit there and talk to a lot of people and you might think there and say, yeah, I could pull a gun, I could shoot someone. But even if that was the most hatred person you have in your life, say it was a person like 10, 15 years down the line, this guy, he's killed your wife, he's killed your kids, he's taken your job, he's taken your family, he's beaten the hell out of you, you put him in a room, you've chained him up, he's chained up to a wall, you have a gun, and someone says shoot him. I know personally, I wouldn't be able to do that. But someone who can do that, whether that's imprisonment to help them, they do need help. And my heart goes out to everyone who did lose their life. And unfortunately, the attacker did die as well. So we do have to pay our respects to his family as well. But we're going to be talking about this game today. And I just thought I'd basically simulate a Spurs versus Manchester United game while we talk about the game here. Mainly because my camera's run out of battery. And by the time it had been charged, it probably would have been about 5 o'clock and would have been too late to get the video up and ready. So Manchester United Spurs then. What's the lowdown on the game? Let me turn that down a bit. The lowdown on the game. First half was a very, very good game. I'm going to take these off so I don't hear it. First half of the game was actually, I think, pretty good. I don't really think it was... was it something... the game itself... There's a lot of things to talk about. We'll start off in the first half. First half, Manchester United come out. I think Manchester United started very, very well. Starting with a back three, two fullbacks, three midfielders, a centre forward and a striker. The first thing that alarmed me a little was that we weren't playing Bailly or Lindelof. But, you know, we were playing Herrera in the centre half. Let me just skip through this because the team lineups aren't the same. We'll just let that play through and see what the result is at the end. Playing Herrera centre half, I don't think he did that bad of a job, but, you know, he's not a centre half, so you can't really say anything about that. And the first half, we had chances and we missed them. I think Lukaku, he had 2 chances he could bury. There was a chance that Pogba could have had. There was a chance that Fred could have had. You know, after the first half, we could have been 3 or 4 goals up. With the team at the top, you know, Tottenham couldn't string 2 passes together out the back because we had that high pressure. 0-0. Got in the second half, mentality's changed. The mentality isn't the same. And it's, who's this messaging? I don't know. It's something that has been a problem with Manchester United for a long time. We don't have that leader that can go out and help us get the game back under control. When we concede the first goal, when we concede the second goal, we're chasing the game. And to me, when they scored them 2 goals, it was early in the match. Okay, it was only the 57th minute, I think, and there was still time to get the match back under control. But it was as if we came out in the second half without a plan. You know, we came out in the second half without a plan, and when we have that and we have no one in the team that's going to grab the game by the scruff of the neck and, shout at the defenders, because defensively, the game wasn't good enough in the second half. The defending wasn't good enough. Now, whether you can blame that on the manager, I don't know. In all, the game was a tale of two halves. The first half, Manchester United were much the better team. Second half, it was if that when we lose that first goal, when we let in that first goal, the mentality of the players, the confidence, just drops, and then we're just stuck in this rut. And as soon as you see the 69th minute, Fellaini coming on, you know that we're going to plan B without even trying a plan A. And for me, that is when you know the game's dead and they scored a third goal and it's all over. But, you can have that meme where you're saying, you're getting sacked in the morning, he's getting sacked in the morning. But is he? I don't really think it's time to sit there and talk about sacking the manager. A football club is made of three things: the board, the manager, the players, and then the fans add that to number 4. Right now, the fans don't know what they want. We've gone from an era of the 90s and the 2000s, early 2010s, where we were a dominant football club. We were winning trophies. The club had that winning mentality that they wanted to win. It seems for me now with the board that winning mentality is gone. The mentality of Woodward and the Glazers is one thing and one thing only: how much money can we make and how much money can we rinse from this massive football club to make as much money as we can to make this football club profitable for us to be a part of. And you can see that. When the manager came in 15, 16 was it? No, 16, 17. This is his third season as manager. You can say the club have spent so much money. As a club, we've spent a lot of money. And that's a big thing. But what we got to think of is how much money of that, say 400 million we've spent over the past 2 or 3 years or so, have been players that Jose Mourinho wants. How many of them players does he want? You can look at Pogba. Pogba was not a Jose Mourinho signing. That signing had been coming within, rumours has it, that rumour and that signing was being made 2 years in advance. So that was with Louis van Gaal. And you can tell the players that he wanted and tell the players that the board wanted. When Zlatan Ibrahimovic came into the club, I didn't think that was a very good signing for the club because it wasn't going to help the future of the club. It was a year or two signing at max, as we already know now. The manager stuck faith in Zlatan Ibrahimovic. He didn't get dropped. He played most games. I'd say that's a signing that he wanted to have in the club. The same with Lukaku last season. I'd say Lukaku was a signing that he wants. Because even when Lukaku wasn't in the best form, people were saying, yeah, we should drop Lukaku. He didn't drop Lukaku because he wanted to... Jose Mourinho signing, he plays them and he doesn't stop playing them. Matic was a Jose Mourinho signing. You can tell by the way he trusts Matic, even if he has a bad game, he doesn't drop him. Have a look at our 2 new centre-halves that we've brought in. We've brought in Bailly and we've brought in Lindelof over the last couple of years. How many, if any of them two, did Jose Mourinho actually want? Because yesterday, you noticed both of them were finished. They were out of the team. And you'll notice in his press conference, I was watching about an hour ago, he doesn't know what the best lineup is. He doesn't know what the best lineup is. They asked, do you know what your defensive lineup is? And he said no. Last game I was playing Bailly and Lindelof. We lost, I dropped them. Today I play Smalling and Phil Jones. We lost, Phil Jones got injured. Next game it'll be Smalling and someone else. When Rojo comes back in from injury, it'll be Rojo and someone else. He doesn't know what the best team is, and nor do we as fans. I could sit here right now, you could sit me down with a piece of paper, and you could say, someone could ask me, put down the XI you want to play, and you want to see playing, throughout the whole of the rest of this season. I could not give you that XI. There is not a player, apart from one, possibly two, actually no, three. I'd say there's three positions for me that have been locked down in terms of form and players that help on the pitch. There's David De Gea, there's Matic, and there's Lukaku. They're the only three players that I can sit there right now and say I'd probably have in my starting 11. All the rest, I don't know. A back four, who knows? Who actually knows? And right now, from what I could see of the game yesterday, I think that the manager's starting to lose the players. We've got big players like Martial and Pogba who the manager's upset. And for me, for them players, it's just a matter of time. They're either waiting for a new manager or they're going to leave. They're not going to perform for Jose Mourinho because of the way he's treated them. And for me, the most important thing about a manager coming into a club, a manager, for me, to be a good manager, will choose players he wants to buy. The idea of Pep Guardiola being so good under Manchester City, and Manchester City dominating the league last year, was the first year was a building year. He brought in players that he wanted. He brought in more players that he wanted last year. He's brought in more players this year that he wanted. And they have a complete squad where the manager knows what he wants. And the manager can trust the players. And now he's got a team that he wants to play. He's got a team he wants to play, and that's the most important thing. I don't think Jose Mourinho, the club might have spent 300, 400 million, but half of that was on two massive players. The players this season, is the board backing the manager? For me, I don't think so. I think ever since Sir Alex Ferguson left, that now means that Ed Woodward and the Glazers now have a bit more control of the club. When Alex Ferguson was in charge of Manchester United, he controlled a lot of the club. He knew the players he wanted to sign, the club signed them. Now, the club can kind of go, we want this player, here's the player, we've spent the money, you do what you want with the players. And that's where I think we're going majorly wrong with Jose Mourinho. You can say all you want that Jose Mourinho is at fault. Yesterday, I think you have to blame the players. Because in the first half, we could have been 3 or 4 goals up. We could have been up in the first 16 minutes. The mentality switch of the players, if we go up first against a big team like Spurs, is going to help. Jose Mourinho can't make the players score when he's on the pitch. The manager can set the players up to play a certain way. And maybe against Brighton you can say the team wasn't good enough and the way we played wasn't good enough because there wasn't enough attacking football. But yesterday, for 45/50 minutes of the game, until we basically conceded them 2 goals, there was attacking football and chances were created. So for me, the manager wasn't at fault yesterday. But yes, I still think the manager won't be here to see out the season. Because what's going to happen is, the top end of the club, I'm starting to sound like an Arsenal fan right now, but the top of the club wants one thing, and one thing only. They want money. They're going to sit there on their chair, like me right now, and they're gonna have their paper out, they're going to have this massive book, and they're going to go, we got these matches left, we're in 6th place, where we could be by Christmas, we're in 5th or 6th, we're 10 or so points off the top 4, oh my goodness, we're not going to get top 4, oh my goodness, we're not going to get top 4, they're going to say, yeah, we're going to boot this manager out, so we get him, Zidane. A lot of fans are like, yeah, big up Zidane. You cannot sit there and say Zidane is a better manager than Jose Mourinho. Here's the thing. There is no manager out there right now that has a better track record in the Premier League than Jose Mourinho. There is no one out there who I can thoroughly sit there and say I'd rather have this man rather than Jose Mourinho. For me, when Louis van Gaal left, we should have got Maurizio Pochettino. The work he's doing with Spurs is fantastic. No, they haven't won a trophy, but he's building the club. The mentality of Pochettino is in the right place. For me, I don't think Jose Mourinho is the best fit when he came in for Manchester United, but his track record was the best. Jose Mourinho is a good manager, but he can't work miracles. Okay, when he came into the season, he wanted a midfielder, which he got. He got Fred. He wanted a right-hand-sided player to play on the right-hand side. And he wanted a centre-half. Jose Mourinho can't work miracles. He can't work miracles with Jones and Smalling, and no manager is going to turn Phil Jones and Chris Smalling into two fantastic centre-halves that are going to boss the Premier League like Nemanja Vidic and Rio Ferdinand. It's not going to happen. There's no experience in the defence to teach the defenders how to defend. And there we go. Spurs just go 1-0 up. Who's that? Was that Harry Kane? Jan Vertonghen? Eric Dyer. Okay. There's no defensive experience in the team that's going to teach these players how to defend. Out of our whole defence, Chris Smalling is the most experienced in the defence. And you look at him and you're saying he's teaching our defenders how to defend? That's worrying. And we need that experienced defender. The board clearly don't back the manager. You can tell they didn't, because he wanted 2 players, and the board said, you know what? Fuck you, Jose. We're not giving you the players. And you can tell that he's pissed off. And the fans, I think the press doesn't help either. I was watching the press conference. They're hounding the guy. You know, he gets hounded. What he was saying, you have to agree with. Would you rather me win and play, 15 minutes of the game, grab a goal, and then put 11 men behind the ball? And then you'll sit here and moan at me because I'm not playing right? And then we come out and we play 50 minutes of attacking football, and we press high and we dominate the first half, and we lose, and you still moan at me. There's no middle ground, and I think that's the same with the fans. There's going to be no football club is going to have a completely agreeing fan base. There'll be some fans like myself who are going to say the manager maybe isn't at fault. Maybe it's a bit of everything. Maybe the manager doesn't even want to be at the club anymore. If you're at work or something, and you know the manager doesn't like you, you're not going to be very motivated to work there. And Jose Mourinho is probably sat there thinking right now, well, hang on a minute. The board don't seem to want me. The board don't have that winning mentality anymore. The mentality is all about the books and all about the money. What players can we bring in that the fans are going to buy a shirt for? What players can we bring in to get that sponsorship, to weasel that bit more money out of the club? Because for me, the manager hasn't had the signings he wants this season. And when the manager doesn't have the signings he wants, how is he supposed to put that together? Yes, you can argue the players that he does have at his disposal, he should be performing better with. And I would agree with that. But I think it's the board. I think you have to blame the board as well. Because if the board aren't backing the manager, if the board aren't backing this manager, what makes you think they're going to back the next manager? Or the next manager? Or the next manager? Have we moved away from being a club that wants to win to now being a club that accepts that money is the main thing? Are we turning into an Arsenal? Oh, do we have the same problem as Arsenal? I mean, you'd sit there and say, well, yes. The board doesn't give the manager enough money. Okay, the last 2 years, or the previous 2 years to this, you can say the board's given the manager plenty of money, but they're not giving that to the manager. We've got this now director of football. When you have this director of football, it's the director of football's job. He's going to have the final say on the players. But the director of football isn't the manager. If Ed Woodward loves the players that much, he might as well go out and manage them. Because he's the one that's buying the players. Whether we have a director of football, we can have as many directors of footballs as we want. If the club's toxic, the club's toxic. If the club's rotten from the top, the rotten is just going to keep going down and down and down. The board is going to make the manager rotten. The rotten manager is going to make the players rotten. And the rotten players are going to make the fans rotten. And then once you get that, the club's in a fucking mess. And it's what happened to Arsenal. The board was rotten. That meant that it made Arsene Wenger rotten. That made the players rotten against Arsene Wenger. They weren't playing for Wenger. Then the fans started getting rotten against the manager. The board didn't like it. They weren't getting as much money. They told Wenger to go. Wenger didn't walk. He left. He left because the board told him to go. For me, he'd still be here next season. And for me, the board, if the fans weren't complaining too much, the board would have just kept Arsene Wenger until he retired. Because they don't care if they're winning trophies. As long as they're getting that Champions League money, but they don't give a toss. They don't care. If we get to Christmas at this club and say we're about 4th or 5th in the league and, you know, we've just scraped out of the Champions League group stage and we're in the Champions League, the club are going to go, well, the manager clearly isn't solidifying his place in the top 4 with the league. Let's get a new manager. Let's scrap everything we got with Jose Mourinho. We're going to throw some more money at him. You know, if the board can get away, if the club can get away with not spending money, they're going to love it. If they don't have to give him that 200-300 million. Because probably in their eyes, they're going, we've given you enough money over these last 2 years. Sit there and play with the money. We've given you money. We've bought you players. Because I don't think he wanted Pogba. If a manager wanted a player, he wouldn't go out in the press and criticise him like that. Did he want Lindelof? Probably not, because he criticises him. We know the manager isn't a great fan of Luke Shaw, but the club didn't want to sell him. We know the manager isn't the greatest fan of Anthony Martial, but they won't sell him. The club, or Pogba, can clearly see that, I think I read an article somewhere that, you know, Barcelona are saying if the club want to sell him, then we'll take him. But the club aren't going to sell Pogba, and we're going to have a club full of unhappy players. And then we're going to be back at square one again with a new manager and a whole new play style, and we're going to be back to 6th in the league. And I think any Manchester United fan who sits there year on year saying we're going to win the league, I just don't think we're that club anymore. I don't think we're that club that wants to win things. I think that's Manchester City and Liverpool. They want to win. The rest of the clubs, yeah, we'll just make money. Chelsea, yeah, we'll get top 4. That's fine. We'll make money. Arsenal, yeah, we'll get top 4, we get the money, that's fine. Manchester United, yeah, we get the money, that's fine. Spurs, they need money, top 4, fantastic, that's money. They're getting that winning mentality, they have the manager that has the mentality. And in his press conference, he also said, you know, you can sit there and say, that all these Premier League managers, there we go, Spurs win 1-0. The managers in the Premier League, you can sit there all you want and say, there's a better manager in the Premier League than Jose Mourinho, but he has more Premier League titles than the rest of all 19 of the Premier League managers put together. Pep is on 1. Who else is on Premier League titles? I'm guessing it's Rafa Benitez. He's on 1. Who's the other? Wait, no, that's it. There's only Rafa Benitez. I think he won it with Chelsea, didn't he? I think. Or was it? I don't know. And then there's Pep Guardiola. But I don't think there's anyone better for the job. But I don't think it's better for the club if we get rid of Jose Mourinho. But the club's going to get rid of him. The board's going to get rid of him. Because he doesn't have the players he wants. The board doesn't know what he wants. The board isn't going to be making the money. And if they see that we're not in that top 4... and not getting that Champions League money, then they're going to start crapping themselves. Think yourself back to the first season Jose Mourinho was here at the club. We weren't in the top 4. We put all of our eggs into the Europa League and we just about managed to get the win. Of course the club loved it. They're getting the Champions League money. The fans, we have to sit through 38 Premier League games by that stage since December, so about 18 or 19 or so Premier League games, or I don't think it was that early, it was like 9 or 10 Premier League games where we just didn't show up because we were that far ahead of the rest of the league, but we were quite happy to sit in 6th place and take the Europa League. So you can blame the manager all you want, you can blame the players, you can blame the board. For me, it's everyone. The manager isn't happy, the players don't seem happy, their confidence is rock bottom, and the board is just absolutely rotten. But that is going to be it for this video then, guys. If you enjoyed, leave a like. If you're new around here, don't forget to subscribe, turn notifications on. I've been David. This has been my Manchester United versus Spurs review. Thank you for watching. Stay safe, stay awesome, stay happy, and I'll see you all in the next video. Goodbye.